Leftovers have always been a part of daily life. They save time, reduce waste, and make it easy to enjoy a meal without starting from scratch. For many seniors, leftovers are not just a convenience, but a necessity. Cooking every day can be tiring, groceries are expensive, and sometimes appetite is small, so meals are stretched into 2 or 3 portions. A simple habit forms: cook once, eat twice, and warm it up the second time around. It feels safe. After all, food that has already been cooked should be fine if it's just heated again, right? Unfortunately, the truth is more complicated. Not every food is safe to reheat, and for seniors, the risks can be much greater than most people realize. As we age, our bodies change in ways that make us more vulnerable to foodborne illness and digestive problems. The immune system becomes weaker. The stomach and intestines process food more slowly, and even a small infection that a younger adult might brush off can send an older adult to the hospital. This is why seniors need to be especially cautious with leftovers. Certain foods, once cooked and then reheated, can change chemically, grow bacteria, or release toxins that are not destroyed by heat. The result can be dangerous food poisoning, serious illness, or in rare cases, even death. What makes these foods especially tricky is that they don't always look or smell spoiled. They may appear perfectly fine, but the danger is hidden within. In this discussion, we will uncover 5 common foods that seniors should never reheat: rice, chicken, potatoes, mushrooms, and eggs. Each of these foods carries unique risks when reheated, and understanding them could make the difference between staying healthy and facing a medical emergency. Along the way, I will also share practical tips for storing, serving, and enjoying these foods safely, because avoiding reheating doesn't mean giving them up completely. Let's start with one of the most surprising and most dangerous: rice. Rice, a breeding ground for bacteria, is one of the most widely consumed foods in the world. From a simple side dish to fried rice, from casseroles to puddings, it shows up in kitchens everywhere. For seniors, rice feels comforting, easy to digest, and inexpensive. But behind that familiar bowl of grains lies a hidden danger that very few people know about. The problem with rice lies in a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. This bacteria lives in soil, and tiny spores can cling to rice grains during harvesting. Cooking rice kills most of the bacteria, but the spores of Bacillus cereus are heat-resistant. This means that even after cooking, some spores may survive. If cooked rice is left at room temperature for too long, those spores can multiply and produce toxins. Here's the frightening part. Once those toxins form, no amount of reheating will destroy them. They remain in the rice, invisible and dangerous, waiting to make you sick. For younger adults, eating contaminated rice may cause a few hours of discomfort, stomach cramps, nausea, or diarrhea. For seniors, the effects can be far worse. Food poisoning from Bacillus cereus can cause violent vomiting, severe diarrhea, and dehydration. Because older bodies recover more slowly and have weaker immune responses, even a short illness can spiral into hospitalization. Imagine an elderly woman living alone who eats leftover reheated rice for dinner. A few hours later, she begins to vomit repeatedly and cannot keep water down. Without someone to help, dehydration sets in quickly, and what began as a simple meal turns into an emergency. The solution is simple, but requires a little discipline. If you cook rice, refrigerate it within 1 hour of cooking. Do not leave it sitting on the counter, not even for a couple of hours, because that's when bacteria multiply most quickly. Once refrigerated, eat it cold the next day or use it in a completely new dish, but avoid reheating it in the microwave. If you love rice, cook smaller portions so you can eat it fresh each time. Frozen rice can also be a good alternative, since it is flash frozen immediately after cooking and reheats more safely. Chicken, a risky reheat for seniors. Chicken is another household favorite. It's lean, versatile, and forms the base of countless comforting dishes. Chicken soup, roasted chicken, casseroles, sandwiches. Many seniors rely on chicken because it feels lighter than beef and easier to digest. But when it comes to reheating, chicken can be one of the riskiest foods. The danger with chicken comes in 2 forms: bacteria and protein changes. Chicken is highly susceptible to bacteria like Salmonella and Campylobacter. Cooking kills these bacteria, but if cooked chicken is not stored properly and is later reheated unevenly, bacteria can survive and multiply. The microwave, in particular, is notorious for heating unevenly, leaving cold spots where bacteria remain alive. Beyond bacteria, The very proteins inside chicken change structure when reheated. These changes make the chicken harder to digest and may cause stomach discomfort. Seniors often have slower digestion, and proteins that are tough or altered can cause bloating, cramping, or indigestion. In some cases, reheated chicken can even taste rubbery, which is your body's way of noticing that something isn't quite right. Consider a senior couple who roast a whole chicken on Sunday. They plan to eat it over the next few days. On Monday, they microwave a portion and enjoy it for lunch. That night, one of them develops stomach cramps and diarrhea. They blame it on age or medication, never realizing the chicken may have been the culprit. Over time, repeated exposure to unsafe reheated poultry can weaken digestion and raise the risk of serious infections. The safer choice is to eat chicken fresh, or if you have leftovers, enjoy them cold in salads or sandwiches. If you must reheat chicken, do it on the stove or in the oven, making sure the meat reaches a uniform temperature of at least 165 degrees 74 degrees. But ideally, cook smaller amounts and avoid the need for reheating altogether. Potatoes, a surprising source of toxins. Potatoes are comfort food at its finest. Mashed, baked, roasted, or fried, they make meals more filling and satisfying. Many seniors grew up with potatoes as a daily staple. But here's the surprising fact. Potatoes, when cooked and then stored improperly, can become extremely dangerous to reheat. The culprit is a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. This bacteria produces a toxin that causes botulism, a rare but life-threatening illness. When cooked potatoes are left at room temperature, especially if wrapped in foil, they create the perfect environment for bacteria to grow. Reheating potatoes does not reliably destroy the botulinum toxin once it is present. For seniors, botulism is particularly dangerous. It attacks the nervous system, causing weakness, blurred vision, difficulty swallowing, and in severe cases, paralysis. Hospitalization is often required, and recovery can be slow. A younger adult may recover from mild food poisoning at home, but for an older adult, botulism can be devastating. The solution is to handle potatoes carefully. If you cook them, refrigerate them quickly, and avoid leaving them out on the counter or wrapped in foil overnight. If you have leftover potatoes, eat them cold in a salad rather than reheating. Better yet, cook just enough for one meal and enjoy them fresh each time. Mushrooms, proteins that turn against you. Mushrooms are unique. They are neither plant nor animal, but have proteins similar to meat. They are rich in flavor and often used to add depth to sauces, soups, and stir-fries. But those same proteins make mushrooms risky to reheat. When mushrooms are cooked, their proteins and enzymes begin to break down quickly. If the mushrooms are stored and then reheated, the proteins can change in ways that make them difficult to digest and potentially toxic. The risk is not as common as with rice or potatoes, but for seniors with sensitive digestion, it can cause stomach upset, nausea, or even food poisoning. Another factor is that mushrooms spoil quickly. Even in the refrigerator, they may not last long once cooked. Reheating them may mask the signs of spoilage, but it does not make them safe again. For seniors, the best advice is to cook only as much as you plan to eat. If you have leftovers, use them cold in a salad or discard them. The delicate nature of mushrooms means they are best enjoyed fresh, not reheated. Eggs, small but risky eggs, are another everyday food that can become risky when reheated. Scrambled, fried, or boiled, eggs are rich in protein and quick to prepare. But once cooked, the proteins in eggs begin to change. When reheated, those proteins become rubbery and harder to digest. For seniors, this can lead to bloating, cramps, or discomfort. More concerning is the risk of bacteria. If eggs are not stored properly after cooking, bacteria like salmonella can grow. Reheating does not always destroy these bacteria, especially if the eggs are reheated unevenly. Seniors with weaker immune systems are especially vulnerable to foodborne illness from eggs. The safest practice is simple. Cook only as many eggs as you need and avoid keeping leftovers. If you have hard-boiled eggs, they can be eaten cold, but do not reheat them. Final thoughts, a senior's guide to safe eating. So what have we learned? Rice, chicken, potatoes, mushrooms, and eggs are 5 foods that should never be reheated. Each carries unique risks, from bacteria to toxins to protein changes, that can be especially harmful to seniors. While reheating may feel convenient, the potential dangers far outweigh the benefits. Your health is your greatest treasure, and protecting it requires small but important choices each day. By avoiding these risky reheats, you not only safeguard your body, but also ensure that every meal nourishes you instead of harming you.